of all of its native sons, few people can Louisville be prouder of than actor Ned Beatty, who comes back to see his mom. He's a dutiful son who comes back from his sojourns on location and for Hollywood and for TV shows and stops by Omelet occasionally. Ned, I just thought of it, Ned, that probably the three biggest hits you ever made, which were three of the greatest motion pictures, were Deliverance, Network, and Nashville, all have one word in their title, and I wonder if you're getting any kind of a thing out of that.
All right, now that I've got to start looking for those, don't I? I never thought of that. That never occurred to me. And you know what's so funny is the ones who worked out the least best are the ones with the longest title. The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean did not go over particularly well. The Thief Who Came to Dinner. Oh, now you've really done it to me. Now I'm going to be only looking for show. One word title.
I just thought of it. Well, you know, a Shakespeare had it, Macbeth, Hamlet, one word.
Yeah.
Good ones.
He may have known something.
You are so slim. You have taken about 20 pounds off in about 10 years since the last time you were here, and now I get the vibes that Ned Beatty is going to get the girl in the next motion picture.
No, I don't think that'll ever happen. I do have a fantasy, though. I have a fantasy about somebody writing a script where you get to play the sidekick. It's sort of a Western fantasy. And you're playing the sidekick, and you don't end up with a horse in the end. You do end up with a girl. But that hasn't happened yet. On the series that I did recently for CBS, it was a rather short-lived series, but I got to kiss a girl.
Cisnick, yeah?
On Cisnick, I got to kiss a girl.
Now, how many takes, Ned, did...
Oh, as many as I could muster.
Yeah, really, though, you know, you really don't, when the whole crew is looking at you and the lights are on you and the prompter's there and the director, you really can't get much of an emotional charge out of a kiss.
After years of experience, you can get anything out of it you want.
Is that true?
You forget those guys are there. No, but that is sort of a paradox of the business. It is, well, it's very much like being on the stage. There is that funny thing where you can forget, and I don't know how it's done. I suppose it's, I suppose that maybe a Zen master could tell you, but you do forget everyone's there, and it becomes incredibly personal. I know that actors usually don't say that, and I'm not saying that you know, that I believe that actors who play love scenes fall in love with every girl, but it is amazing how actors pretend. That's really our job.
That is true, though. Aren't there some Hollywood types who have been known, through almost no fault of their own, to always fall in love with the particular actress opposite whom they're playing at the moment? There's
kind of a... I don't know, it's a very happy reason. I know sometimes it bothers me, the nature of the business. For many years, I spent a long time in fairly small theater companies. I was at the Barter Theater. Oh, year after year after year after year for 10 seasons. I was at the Arena Stage in Washington for 9 seasons. Now I find that my work, when you do work, as you know, it happens here in the studio, I'm sure, it's a family-type atmosphere. You get to know people over a length of time. You care about one another. You care about one another's lives and personal families and things. Same thing happens on a movie or a television show, but sometimes it's for a 2-week period. And what you tend to do is you tend to get very close with people very quickly. And I think that must happen to people playing romantic things. And it's a problem. It really does lead to, I guess, what we would call instability.
Right, complications.
Oh.
You know, I don't want you to think I'm making a corny, empty flattery of you, but it's my observation after knowing you for some years and having had you on various programs a dozen times, that you're remarkably without temperament, that you are not a prima donna. And I'm wondering whether, despite your great talent, it's because you did come up with repertory theater and that you work closely with other struggling actors, that you do your job, but you are relatively free of any kind of fancy Dan kind of temperament. You don't blow up on the set, do you?
Well, oddly enough, the only time I ever do seem to lose my temper tends to be when I feel like someone is not treated well. It's very...
Someone else, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't, yeah, it usually is someone else. That's the only time I have any problem. I had some problems working on Cisnick because I was working with younger people, and occasionally I felt that they were treated with less than maybe a complete respect. And I blew my top about that a couple of times. I made a big point one day, and I wouldn't let anybody forget it. I was really nasty about it. We were looking for a line for Ralph to say, who was the 10-year-old on the show. And nobody could discover the line. They really needed a punch line. They wanted something funny, and everybody thought and walked around the room. And so I just finally turned to him and said, what would you say? Of course, he came up with the perfect line. It was funny. It was right. It was honest. All the things that you wanted. And I tried to make a point of the fact, you know, that he's here with us, and you know, he's part of it. So why don't we?
They accept it.
Yeah. So my temperament generally comes out, and I guess from this very thing that you mentioned, because I've been working with groups so much of my life, it's very important to me that everybody be treated well. I guess I don't like to feel, I'm not much on status. The star system doesn't mean a great deal to me.
When you were with Actors Theater here and you did your Great Death of a Salesman, and you were at Barter Theater, and, you know, making a modest salary and a modest name for yourself, but not great, did you, in the back of your mind, if somebody had told you that you would be up for an academy, that you would have a part so small and so world famous in network, that Deliverance would be one of the unusual motion pictures of its time and the most unusual part, that in Nashville you would carve a whole new kind of part for yourself in an extraordinary movie, would you have doubted that if someone had said at that time?
I don't know. I guess I very possibly would have. Although the kind of work I'm doing now seems very normal to me and very natural. I'm not I'm not overcome by the largeness of it or something like that. It seems a strange thing to say. It seems very much to me like going to work in Louisville or going to work in Washington or in Virginia. I mean, we're all pretty much the same. All the fellows put on their pants one leg at a time.
Have you been paid big money in recent years?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Too much.
Are you prudent?
I gave most of it back.
Yeah, I'll bet.
No, I'm not prudent at all.
No?
I'm not, no.
What's your extravagance?
Children. I've been married twice, and I have two families, and no, that's not extravagance at all.
No.
I don't really, well, I guess food for one thing. I mean, I like eating out, and I like to take people to dinner. That doesn't sound like a great extravagance, but if you do it often enough, it...
But you don't go, how about big cars, big houses, big wardrobes?
Well, I drive a Honda, and at the moment I live in a sort of a two-room apartment. So, no, and I have another shirt. No, I'm not... Cars are, of course, a huge thing. I guess they're big everywhere, aren't they? I notice here in Louisville, I haven't seen many Rolls and things like that, but it's incredible in California.
You were recently on NBC with that great American play, Our Town, and it looks as though they want to make it a yearly classic.
I would hope so. It'd be kind of like being in The Wizard of Oz, you know.
That's not bad. That's writing your name in granite.
Well, I certainly think the material is worth it, and I hope our performances are worth, you know, being seen again and again.
Meanwhile, you're reading some good home cooking from Mrs. Beatty. Your mom must be delighted to have you
Mrs.
here.
Beatty is going to put those 20 pounds back on within a week's time if we give her a chance.
Well, we'll catch up with you and the up and down. But right now, you look like about a 30-year-old ready to be the lead and get the female lead, and we thank you, Ned, very much.
Thank you.
Ned Beatty, our guest on Omelet. Always pleased to have him back in his hometown.